Hey, everybody, we're almost about to get started. We're going to wait just another minute or so. There's still some people trying to log in.
All right, I think it's time to get this party started.
All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Floyd, and I'm joined here with my dear friend and coworker, Joanne Cooper. I'm a real estate agent. She is a lender, the much smarter of the two. We bring a combined 50 years of experience to the real estate and lending industry. Um, that was only 25 years apiece. We're not that old. But we appreciate you guys joining us today. We're going to talk about a real fun subject and an exciting subject. It's using proceeds from your wedding to help you buy your first home. Wedding bells to doorbells in a more cleverly titled way. Um, I'm going to pass it over to Joanne now, and she's going to get us started. But we really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Joanne, it's all yours.
Thank you, David. Welcome, everyone. Glad you could join us today. As David said, we're trying to give young couples who either just got married or are about to an alternative way to purchase their first home. I mean, you may realize that traditionally, if you're wanting to buy a home, you need some down payment. And a lot of people have to save for years. And unfortunately, sometimes life gets in the way. And every time they think they're getting close, some sort of emergency happens and they end up using that money for other things. So we're trying to show you a different way to go about, purchasing your first home and getting the down payment pulled together to do that. What we're going to show you here is that basically not David and I's estimation of this, but from truly national survey data, we've discovered that the average wedding gift nowadays is about $150 per guest. So you can see on this chart that it adds up pretty quickly, with a small wedding of 50 guests to a larger wedding of 200 guests, how much you could actually expect to receive in monetary gifts if you were to request that your guests do that. And we're going to talk more about that in just a second. This again is the same information, but basically in a bar chart. Some people find it easier to see that. So if you look at your gift amounts up the side and across the bottom, how many guests that you would have, basically it shows that if you have 100 guests, and this is kind of the average wedding size in our area, but if you have 100 guests and the average gift amount stands true, you would be receiving as much as $15,000. And you could see to the left or right of that, it can go up or down based on the number of guests that you have. So it truly is significant money that could be acquired. Hold on one second, if you don't mind. Nope. Okay, I thought I skipped a slide for some reason. What this is showing you is the amount of down payment that's needed to purchase a home. First-time home buyers or FHA home buyers, minimum down is just 3 to 3.5%. A little bit more down payment is 5%, which is still very good and very widely, allowed, so to speak. And then 20% is the high end, but there's no need to even be thinking about that. That's just a really large sum of money. And the programs that are around today are offering just as good a terms with the lower down payment amounts, which makes this whole process that much better. And this is what I thought I skipped earlier. Sorry about that. So this is showing you that from buying a home of 200,000 all the way to 750,000, how much down payment you would need, how many guests would it take to get you there with those monetary gifts. So a middle of the road number, say $350,000 home, 3% down is 10,500. And if you had 75 guests at your wedding that gave you that average monetary gift, you would be walking away with about 11,250, which the yes indicates that that would be enough for you to have the down payment for that home. This is the same type of chart, although it indicates 5% down in case you had extra money or just for whatever reason wanted to put more down. Maybe you needed to put more down to be able to afford the payment. This is showing you what you would need with 5% down. So if we took that same $350,000 home, the down payment would be $17,500, and 125 guests giving you that average monetary gift would give you $18,750. So again, you would have enough. It just is dependent on the price of the home and how many guests would give you that monetary gift. The only time you run into problems with this illustration is at the very, very high end of the price on homes of 750, which most first-time home buyers, newlyweds, are not going to be starting there. So all the rest of these, you can see you would have the ability to get enough for your down payment.
Joanne, we have a quick question, and it's from John out in. He said, "My daughter's getting married. Her husband's graduating from college. Is his time on his job going to be an issue? He's been working at this company only for 30 days."
Yeah, so normally you might hear a common fact that you need to be on your job for 2 years, that there are exceptions to that rule, and being a recent graduate from college is one of them. So if he can show a transcript showing that he was in school until recently and maybe his diploma, if he graduated, but really the transcript is what we need to show that he's been in school, then they make an exception and he doesn't have to have a long time on the job. He just needs to have at least one paycheck under his belt.
That's awesome. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's a great example of how knowing a professional like you can really help this in a transaction like this, because you know those answers and can help with
Yeah.
those road bumps along the way.
Yeah, unfortunately, in our industry, just like many others, there are a lot of myths where people hear things and they think it's fact and they don't realize that it doesn't apply to every situation. So it's always best to explore your options and make sure before you say no to yourself, let's put it that way, before you say, oh, I could never do this, it wouldn't work for me, talk to somebody and make sure that there's not a workaround. That's my advice there.
Great info. Thank you.
Sure. This is a chart here showing both down payment amounts together alongside your potential gift. So the gift pool that we're looking at here is in gold, and it's just assuming that you have 100 guests that give you the monetary gift. And it's showing you light green is the 3% down, dark green is the 5% down, and side by side with the gift pool. And it shows you that you have enough money for both the 3% and the 5% down until you get above that 300,000. Then you would have enough with 100 guests for at least the 3% down, as well as a $500,000 house, you'd still have enough for the 3% down. So it shows you that, truly your wedding gifts could go a long way into getting you into not only a home, but a home that you could potentially grow into a little bit as well. Of course, there are other things that you need to get pre-qualified, and that's what I would work with you on an individual basis. We'd look at things like credit and income, but for the most part, as far as down payment goes, which is what we're talking about today, you definitely could come up with the money fairly easily following this program. So there are other things that you can do once you get the gift funds. After you've gotten married, you've had your reception, all of your gifts have come in, you've put them in the bank. You may not be ready, or you may not have found the house yet that you're going to want to buy. Maybe it's a month or two down the road. So what do you do with that money? If you're anything like I am, sometimes you put money in your bank account and it just kind of drains away somehow. So it's always advised to put it somewhere separately, earmark it for this purpose so that it doesn't get intermingled with your regular household funds and inadvertently get, spent. So the first thing to know is, in order to get these gifts, most people go on to stores, department stores, to do their gift registry. There are certain registry platforms such as Zola, Honey Fund, and the Knot that gives bride and grooms the option to choose a monetary gift in addition to regular gifts. And if you were to tell your closest friends and family that you're really, really hoping to buy a home and that this money would be used for that, I guarantee you that they would be more than happy to give you a monetary gift as opposed to shopping and wrapping and picking and making sure it's what you want and all of that. So that's something really good if you're serious about doing this.
Joanne, I think
This
that's a great point. Let me just interject there because my
store,
daughters both got married within the last 3 years, and people who help donate money towards either their honeymoon or a house gift, money towards the down payment, that's a pride thing for that gift giver as well as the recipient. And it's convenient. You don't have to go to the mall to pick up a monetary gift, but to help a young couple get into their first house, that's a pride thing on both ends. I think it's just awesome. And then the bride and groom can have a housewarming party and get the gifts that they want anyway. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You could double
got
dip.
a twofer there.
That's right.
Yes, yes. It is true. I mean, imagine your parents or aunts or uncles or cousins who donated to your down payment fund coming over for Thanksgiving dinner and feeling so happy that they helped you make your dream a reality. It's people really truly would be happy to do that. The other thing that you would want to do, especially if you have a little time before you're going to use the money, is put it in a high yield savings account. Don't put it in your normal checking or savings at the bank that's on your corner because they most likely are paying, 0.01% per year, which is pennies. If you go online, there are several like Capital One Online or Ally. Some of them will pay 4 to 5% interest, which really can add to the money that you've got to begin with. So that's a good thing to do to help it grow. As far as documenting the gift trail, if you were to get one large gift, let's say from parents, and you were going to use that to buy your home, we would get a gift letter that basically states, yes, I'm giving this gift to my kids to help them buy their home. But in a case where you're going to get many, many small gifts from many, many people, we don't want to do it that way. That would be way too much documentation. I have a workaround for that. It's a little bit more involved. It actually makes it simple on you, but it's a lot to explain, and I don't want to do that here because it's not going to apply to everybody. But once we get together on a more one-on-one basis, I will tell you a way to avoid having to do multiple gift letters. And lastly, of course, if you already have savings, that makes it even better. You can pool that together with your wedding gifts. And again, I would put it all together in a separate bank account where you know it's not going to get touched until the time comes that you find the house that you're looking to purchase. Might as well earn some interest on it in the meantime. So this is showing how, with thoughtful planning, your guest gifts to you for your wedding could really get you into that home with a minimum of just 3% down needed, which is very, very low compared to what's traditionally needed, and an average gift of $150 a person and an average wedding size of 100 gifts, you can easily have $15,000, which, as we saw before, was enough for a down payment on a good size house. We're not asking you to buy, a beater, right? I mean, this could be a really very, very nice first home for any couple. The top takeaways that we've talked about today is that most people don't realize that down payment starts as little as 3% of the purchase price. So again, a $200,000 home, that's only $6,000. Most people have believed traditionally for years that 20% is what you have to have, which on a $200,000 home, that would be $40,000. So it's a huge difference. So just that one takeaway gives you more information than most people have, to be honest. The other takeaway is that as little as 50 guests giving you the average gift could be enough for a down payment on a very nice home. Of course, additional savings added to the gift funds will help you make that money go even further. And allowing your funds to season for a couple of months will avoid the extra gift funds documentation. And that's the piece that we're going to talk about on a more one-on-one basis. Once we know your exact scenario, I can, strategize with you on how to make that work. I think a lot of people wonder, does this really work? And I'm going to give you a little story from my youth. I grew up in New York, and there it was very, very common to bring envelopes to a wedding. The gifts were more for the shower, or as David said earlier, for a housewarming gift when a couple finally moves into their first home. But the wedding was always envelopes, $100 bills left and right. And weddings in those days were big. 300 people were not uncommon. Those brides and grooms would leave that wedding reception sometimes with $60,000 or $80,000 in envelopes. So this really does work. I've seen it firsthand. And I realize that that's not the norm in this day and age in Texas, but it can be your norm if you just let people know. People love you. If they're coming to your wedding, it's because they care about you. They want to do what is going to make you happiest. And a kitchen cabinets full of stuff is really not going to do it for you as much as a new home. So I hope that you'll think about that and not be shy to let people know what you're trying to do. Now, we had a couple of sponsors that helped us get the word out today. Some of you may be here because of them. So I want to give them a shout out. Excuse me, Laura Patino, Vice President of Petals by Design. That's a floral shop that does a wonderful job with wedding flowers. Absolutely beautiful work, and she's lovely to work with. So if you don't yet have a florist, you may want to check her out. And Martha Maldonado owns the Emily's Event Center, and that's where they do a lot of weddings as well as quinceañeras and other occasions. But that's a beautiful venue, and she's also a very lovely woman to work with. I recommend both of them. I hope that you'll be able to reach out and at least see what they have to offer as well. As far as David and I, we are truly dedicated to helping people, especially first timers. That's the most exciting thing that we do in our jobs, is helping people buy their first homes, because they're so excited and they really have a lot of questions and they need more hand holding. And not all lenders and realtors are very good at hand holding. I'm going to be honest. We really enjoy it. So we're each offering you a 1-hour complimentary meeting. All you have to do is you can put it in the chat. You can email us. Our contact information is there on the screen. Just let us know any which way you want to, that you're interested in that. A 1-hour consultation with David, you'd be able to go over things like, what exactly do you want in a home? What part of town do you want to be in? How much is it realistically going to cost to get that? All those questions can be answered with David. And then my complimentary 1 hour, we can go further into the plan or the strategy of using your gift funds for down payment. But there's also any other multitude of things that lenders could answer for you. And having two longtime professionals willing to give you an hour of their time without any charge or obligation, please take advantage of that. I'm sure you must have some questions, and we would be happy to answer them for you. David, did you have any other questions or comments in the chat?
I've taken 3 pages of notes. I think this is just amazing information you've shared with us today. Several takeaways. If you're going to get married in New York.
Well, let
It,
me say those weddings are expensive there too, though.
yes. Thank you for all that wonderful information. And it is true that Joanne and I share a passion for real estate. Me on the housing side, her on the lending side. And we do really enjoy helping people achieve their goals and desires of home ownership. And so give us a chance to work with you and show us what we can do to make your life and your home shopping easier. But Joanne, that was great information. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for inviting me on, and thank you all for coming. And we want to both wish you all the best. I know that if you're here, it's probably because you either just got married or you're about to. So we wish you all the best. Congratulations. And if there's ever anything that either one of us can do, please take a picture of that screen. In fact, we will be sending out a recording of this webinar shortly, probably this afternoon. Feel free to look at it again and see if any questions pop into your mind. Share it with your parents, share it with anyone else you know that may be thinking of getting married soon, or that just are looking for a good realtor and loan officer who truly care about their clients. So we're going to leave it there. We wanted it to be brief so that we don't take up too much of your day. And again, good luck and thank you so much for joining us.
Great job, Joanne. Congratulations to all the newlyweds out there or soon to be weds. And thank you for your time.
Thanks. Bye bye.